The sun dipped behind the mountains, casting a crimson glow across the sky, as a group of 5 friends reached the remote clearing where they planned to camp for the night. They were seasoned hikers, brought together by their passion for the outdoors. There was Ben, the group's leader, a tall man with a chiseled jaw and piercing eyes. Beside him was his girlfriend, Mia, a petite woman with fiery red hair. Next was Noah, the group's muscle, with a bearded face and a hearty laugh. His wife, Sophie, was a quiet but fierce woman. And finally there was Avery, the youngest, a wide-eyed optimist who never stopped talking. As the sky darkened, they set up their tents and started a campfire. The smell of roasting marshmallows and the sound of laughter filled the air. The friends exchanged stories, their voices echoing through the vast wilderness. When the moon was high, a rustling in the nearby bushes caught their attention. Avery's voice quivered as she asked, "What was that?" Ben strained his ears, his eyes scanning the darkness. Then a low growl resonated through the air, and a massive black bear emerged from the shadows, its eyes glinting with predatory intent. Panic set in. Mia, the quickest thinker, grabbed a burning branch from the fire and waved it at the bear, hoping to scare it away. But the bear, unnerved, charged towards her instead. Mia let out a piercing scream as the bear's claws slashed through her arm, blood spraying the surrounding foliage. Ben lunged towards the bear, his instincts taking over, but the beast swatted him away effortlessly, sending him crashing into a tree. His head struck the trunk, and he slumped to the ground unconscious. Noah, frantic, grabbed a large rock and hurled it at the bear, striking its flank. The bear roared in pain and turned its attention to him. Sophie, realizing that they needed a plan, shouted for everyone to split up and try to find higher ground. Avery, terrified, scrambled up a nearby tree, her heart pounding in her chest. From her vantage point, she saw the bear's massive form stalking her friends below. It closed in on Noah, who tried to escape but was cornered against a rock face. Sophie screamed his name, but there was nothing she could do. With a bone-chilling growl, the bear lunged, its powerful jaws clamping down on Noah's shoulder. His agonized cries echoed through the night as the bear dragged him away, his lifeless body disappearing into the darkness. Sophie, grief-stricken and numb with fear, stumbled through the undergrowth, searching for help. Meanwhile, Mia, her arm hanging limply at her side, tried to rouse Ben. He groaned, his eyes fluttering open. As Ben struggled to his feet, they heard the bear approaching once more, its growls growing louder. Sophie reappeared, her face pale, and the trio exchanged terrified glances. They had to make a choice. They could stay and fight, or they could run, hoping that the injured among them could keep up. Their hearts pounding, they chose the latter, sprinting through the dark woods, their pain and fear propelling them forward. The bear pursued, never far behind. They could hear its heavy breathing, and the thud of its massive paws on the forest floor. In the end, they were not fast enough. One by one, the bear caught up with them, its relentless pursuit echoing their worst nightmares. Mia, weakened by blood loss, was the next to fall. She tripped over a root, her cry cutting through the night. The bear was upon her in seconds, her screams abruptly silenced. Ben and Sophie ran on, fueled by adrenaline and desperation. But the bear was unyielding, its massive form a terrifying shadow in the moonlight. Suddenly Ben tripped, his ankle twisting under him. He cried out in pain as he tumbled down a steep slope, his body crashing into trees and rocks. Sophie, hearing his cries, turned back, her heart pounding. She saw the bear closing in on Ben, and in a split-second decision, veered off the path, screaming and waving her arms to draw the bear's attention. It worked. The bear veered off its course, following Sophie. She led it away, her mind numb with terror, giving Ben a chance to escape. Ben, despite his injuries, managed to crawl to a nearby river. With one last glance back, he saw Sophie disappear into the darkness, the bear hot on her trail. He plunged into the cold water, the current carrying him downstream. He clung to a floating log, his consciousness fading as he drifted away. When he awoke, it was daylight. He was miles away from the campsite, his body aching, his mind replaying the nightmarish events. His friends were gone, taken by a beast of the wild. Alone and devastated, he managed to find help, and the rescue team arrived, their faces grim. They scoured the area, but all they found were remnants of the horrific attack. As the sun dipped below the horizon, a group of 6 friends huddled around a bonfire. their faces lit by the flickering flames. The ocean lapped lazily at the edge of the beach, the sound a rhythmic accompaniment to their laughter and stories. Liam, the group's de facto leader, was a surfer with a charismatic grin. His sister Emily was quieter, the bookish type, and she sat close to her boyfriend Zach, a city boy with a love for adventure. Then there was jovial Leo, the tech geek, his girlfriend Harper, a marine biologist, and finally, the enigmatic Alex, an introvert with an odd fascination for the supernatural. Their laughter carried over the water as they shared stories. The night was calm until Harper pointed out to the ocean, her brow furrowed. "Did you see that?" she asked, her voice barely audible over the crackling fire. They squinted into the darkness, the black waters reflecting the moon's pallid glow. A fin, unnaturally large, sliced through the water's surface, briefly visible before disappearing. A chill ran down Emily's spine. "That's no dolphin," she muttered, her hand tightening on Zach's. The fin surfaced again, much closer, causing an uneasy silence to descend upon the group. Harper stood, her eyes wide. "It's a shark," she said, her voice trembling. Suddenly, an enormous great white shark, monstrous and horrifying, breached the surface, revealing rows of serrated teeth. It lunged towards them with a terrifying roar, an unthinkable sight on a calm beach. In the ensuing chaos, Liam, the strongest swimmer, was the first to act. He tried to distract the beast, leading it away from his friends. However, the shark was relentless, and it homed in on him, cutting off his path back to the shore. Meanwhile, Zach and Leo, despite their fear, began constructing a makeshift raft using driftwood and spare rope from their supplies. Emily, Harper, and Alex, paralyzed by fear, could only watch in horror as the shark chased Liam. Suddenly, the shark lunged. A piercing scream echoed across the beach as the shark's jaws clamped around Liam's leg. Blood stained the water, and his terrified screams turned to pained cries. The others watched helplessly as their friend struggled for his life. With the raft complete, Zach and Leo, armed with paddles, dashed towards the water, ignoring Emily's pleas. They had a plan: to distract the shark long enough for Liam to escape. As they neared the beast, they beat the water with their paddles, creating a commotion. Incredibly, their plan worked. The shark turned towards them, releasing Liam. He managed to drag himself towards the shore, leaving a trail of blood in the water. Zach and Leo paddled furiously back to the beach, the shark hot on their trail. They reached the shore just in time, the shark's jaws snapping inches away from Leo's foot. They were safe for now. The shark circled ominously offshore as they tended to Liam's wounds, the beach a silent testament to the night's horrors. His eyes flickered closed, his body going limp. The night was far from over. The shark still lurked in the shadows, its dark eyes gleaming with malice. The friends, now survivors, huddled together, their hearts pounding in unison. The bonfire flickered, casting long, eerie shadows across the bloody sand as the nightmare on the beach continued to unfold.